If you're interested in supporting the channel, there are two things you can do. Flipside Gaming is offering a 10% discount for any order $10 or more if you use the promo code VOIDMAGE on their website. That is VOIDMAGE in all caps. I will also have an affiliate link to tcgplayer.com. If you use that link, any purchase you make on that website will go towards supporting the channel. I appreciate the support. Also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Hello everyone, welcome back to another top 10 Commander video. Gonna go over the new set Throne of Eldraine. I am really impressed with the set. If I had to, I could probably do a top 20. And you're going to see a lot of interesting cards, not just powerful, and that's a very important thing that I don't believe a lot of people focus on, because if a card is really powerful, you want to play it, of course, but what really gets you to build a commander deck is a unique strategy, and I see plenty of that in Throne of Eldraine. Now this list is going to include a lot of the cards from the Brawl decks, but since it is all under Throne of Eldraine, I am going to treat it as such, starting it off here with the honorable mentions. Some very solid, universally playable cards that you're probably going to see a lot in Commander now. Fabled Passage and Arcane Signet. Fabled Passage being a strictly better Evolving Wilds. It should come as no surprise why that would be good. Arcane Signet is Command Tower on a Signet, and we've seen 2-mana mana rocks before, but it's really important to have something like this for a 5-color deck. You really want that mana fixing. And we do have an Upkeep win con here in Happily Ever After. These can sometimes be fun to build around. If you're playing a more casual deck, you might want to look for something like this. Embercleave is going to be a really powerful equipment in Commander. Giving your creature double strike, especially if you can just flash this in, is going to help you deal Commander damage. When you're looking for good equipment cards, you want keywords like double strike. And Cauldron of Eternity is a pretty good card that can also make itself cheaper. I do think though that having the downside of putting your creatures on the bottom of your library outweighs the benefit of being able to bring a creature back from your graveyard, because if this is left out for too long, you might run out of that resource. I still think it's going to be worth playing for a lot of people. Now, number 10 is Mirror Maid. 3-mana blue enchantment. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. So if you're a fan of Estrid's Invocation, or really just any clone that is able to help you out with your enchantments or your artifacts, Mirror Maid is a card for you. Especially in this same set, you do see a lot of artifact and enchantment synergies. May not really do that great of a job of standing out, it does seem like more of the same. We have had ways of copying artifacts and enchantments, but redundancy is sometimes a good thing for those decks. If you have more ways of copying your ghostly prisons, your propagandas, it can be a nightmare to have to deal with those enchantment decks. And the number 9 is the Magic Mirror. Now this is really sweet. We do have this cycle of legendary artifacts that do give you this cost reduction. I think the Magic Mirror is perfect for Spellslinger decks because you're going to have plenty of ways to get that cost down. You do get rewarded with no maximum hand size. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a knowledge counter on it, and then you draw a card for each knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror, slowly building up, becoming a one-sided Howling Mine. A card that I would have no problem putting into a casual Spellslinger deck. But even if you're not focused on that strategy, just play blue, you're bound to have instants and sorceries in your graveyard. So what we have here is really just a pretty solid blue artifact. And number 8 is a Yura, First of Eldraine. I don't know what it is, the past few months, Commander 2019 and Throne of Eldraine, Mono Black is on a tear. If you're a fan of Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat, just any small black creatures that are capable of draining your opponent's life totals, you're probably going to like a Yura First of Eldraine because you now have a commander to build that whole strategy around. Of course, those cards are solid wherever you want to put them. A Yura just rewards you for playing those smaller creatures. The more ETBs you get, the more life your opponents are going to have to lose. You also have a nice ability where you can sacrifice another black creature to draw a card, all on just a 3-mana creature. It's pretty efficient, and something that you don't have to build a commander deck around. You could probably just throw her in as one of the 99, and you still have a solid engine in Mono Black. Number 7 is a Leila, Artful Provocateur. What we have here is Flying Tribal, with a focus on artifacts and enchantments. The more of these you get to play, the more fairies you get. All of your other creatures you control with flying are going to get +1/+0. So if you're used to cards like Bitter Blossom, slow advantage cards that give you flying creatures, Leila is going to give you even more of those, and a small anthem just to make those 1/1 creatures a bit more intimidating. One of the more versatile commander options because you could just build an enchantment deck or an artifact deck, or a deck that is entirely focused on flying creatures. And with access to 3 colors, you should have a lot of options. Number 6 is Torbran, Thane of Redfell. Now, it's been a long time since I've actually entertained mono red in Commander. For me, it's been chaos or nothing. Torbran actually makes it so that your damage spells are more viable. And I'm not just talking about the fireballs, the massive X-costed spells you want to kill opponents with. I'm talking about things like Mana Barbs, Perforos God of the Forge, where it's not going to come at you all at once, but it'll be a slow grind. It's going to be made a lot easier with Torbran, and it just seems like a lot of these cards are a bit more focused now that we get more damage tacked on. Might be a bit disappointing that we don't have the Dwarf Tribal we were looking for, but we do have a very powerful mono red commander. One that is definitely refreshing when you consider all of the mono black love we've been getting. Number 5 is Chulainn, Teller of Tales. A lot of very powerful commanders in the format are just really strong engines, where it's not that they themselves are going to be dealing commander damage. A lot of commanders just have really good triggered abilities, and Chulainn has one with the addition of being able to bounce a creature back to your hand if you really need to. There are a ton of loops in the format that will allow you to bounce creatures back to your hand, and a white mane lion is perfect for this strategy. You're just going to keep recasting your creatures. It's even better with flash. You're going to keep drawing cards. You're going to play additional lands. It just adds on to the power that was already present in the format with a commander like Tatyova. Even better because you get access to white, so you can combine Karametra and Tatyova and make the ultimate land strategy, really fortifying what has been one of the more dominant strategies in the format. And then we have number 4, Korvald, Fey-Cursed King. It's no secret one of my favorite commander options has been Prosh, Skyraider of Care. I just like the ease of using his ability to sacrifice creatures, which will also help you synergize with other things. Has been a very versatile commander for a long time. If you never played Prosh, I highly recommend you look into Korvald because you have yet another good Jund commander option that's going to take advantage of a little bit of everything that the individual colors are capable of. You're going to be able to take advantage of creature tokens, death triggers, as well as +1/+1 counters, which should allow you to go in different directions if you want to go with commander damage. Korvald looks like a deadly option, but drawing more cards just means that you have other ways of winning the game. So Brawl decks were definitely a pleasant surprise going into spoiler season for Throne of Eldraine. And then number 3 we have the Great Henge. Now this is one of the best artifacts in the whole set. The cost reduction is pretty realistic. You shouldn't really have a problem getting a big creature out there. Once you do get it out there, you can tap it to add 2 green to your mana pool, and you gain 2 life. That's every time you tap it for that mana. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card, which is pretty ridiculous. This is probably going to be in most creature-based decks, and there would be really no reason to not play it. It's incredibly easy to get out there, and you do get 2 green mana, but never underestimate the ability to gain 2 life. So many games you could lose just by not having any source of life gain. But you have yet another good engine here, this time on an artifact, where you get to draw your cards, you get to put +1/+1 counters on those creatures. It's going to fit into a lot of decks. It's a very solid card. Even though it isn't the engine that Chulainn is or Korvald, it's probably going to end up seeing a lot more play in a variety of decks, including those decks. So a very solid card, one of the more powerful green cards in the whole set. And then number 2 is Kenneth the Returned King. Now, I must remind people, because it always gets confused, there are all 5 mana symbols within the activated ability costs. All 5 mana symbols are on this card, so it is a 5-color commander. That's just the way that commander color identity works. But what we have here is the perfect 5-color commander if you're interested in having a wide variety of playstyles. One that was immediately brought up to me was Group Hug. Since none of these abilities specify that you have to be the one benefiting, you can offer help to other players. There are more ways that you can choose to benefit in a game of Commander. It doesn't always have to be your spells. And what you have here are all 5 abilities, which can be used to help your opponents, not just yourself. So you pretty much have an ability for each color of magic, and a wide variety, which should make deck building a ton of fun. Definitely an option to look forward to. In terms of versatility, I think we might have just found the most versatile commander option. And then, number 1. This card is just ridiculous. Sir Conrad the Grim. Pretty much if your deck deals with creatures in any way in black, Sir Conrad's going to deal a damage to each opponent. It's whenever another creature dies or is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, so if you have something like Delve, that will count. This card is just ridiculous, and you know it's going to see play in just about every black deck. It doesn't even really matter what you want to do. If you want to play mill, it's going to work. If you want to play creature tokens, it'll work. Aristocrats, it'll work. And if that wasn't enough for you, you do have an activated ability of 2 to have each player put the top card of their library into their graveyard, which you could have just erased that and left it at the first part and you still would have had a very powerful card. Something that is probably going to be a nightmare to have to deal with in the format. Expect to see it in just about every black deck, and be prepared to remove them. Well, anyway guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think about Throne of Eldraine. A lot of fun options coming from this set. I think there's to be expected a long-term impact. There's a lot of versatility combined with obvious power. The theme is very flavorful. I think a lot of people are going to get into this set. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.